Oh my God, it's so good to see you. It's been forever. Come in, come in. Right? I know I look different. You're asking about me and Logan? Well, we're divorced. Yeah, we're divorced. Remember my best friend Diana? She got dumped by her boyfriend Chad. You know why? Let me tell you the story. Believe me, she is a big part of my story. Here, have coffee. You're going to need it for this one. 8 months ago, I got this call from Diana. She was crying, which honestly wasn't unusual for Diana. That woman cried at insurance commercials. But this time she was like, Beth, Chad kicked me out and I have nowhere to go. Can I stay with you guys? And me, being the loyal friend that I was, I said, of course, come right over. I didn't even ask why Chad kicked her out. I just assumed he was being a jerk. You know how I always assumed the best in people? Yeah, that was biting me in the ass. So Diana showed up with her 2 little suitcases, looking like someone ran over her puppy. I was hugging her, making tea, fluffing pillows in the guest room. I even bought those fancy cookies she liked from that overpriced bakery downtown. I was basically throwing a pity party for my best friend and my husband's mistress. Yup, you heard that right. See, I told you that she played a big part of my story. Here's the thing that still gets me. Logan never acted suspicious, ever. You know those stories about cheating husbands who suddenly start working late, buying new cologne, being secretive with their phones? Logan was the complete opposite. He was the perfect husband. Flowers, surprise dinners, remembered every anniversary. When he said he had to work late or go in on Saturdays, I actually felt sorry for him. I thought Simmons and Associates was just really demanding. I'd pack him nice lunches and tell him not to work too hard. I was like the perfect supportive wife to a man who was cheating on me. But now I realize, Logan's a divorce lawyer. He listens to women all day long, talking about how they discovered their husbands were cheating. He knew every single sign wives look for, so he made sure to do the exact opposite. The man had a literal playbook for how not to get caught. All those client stories about husbands who got sloppy, who left evidence, who changed their behavior, Logan was taking notes. He probably went home every night thinking, well, I'll never make that mistake. Diana had been living with us for 2 months, and she hadn't shown any interest in finding her own place. Don't get me wrong, I didn't mind my best friend staying with me, but the way Logan and Diana were acting around each other was starting to make me really uncomfortable and suspicious. They developed this weird intimacy that I wasn't part of, like Diana and I be making dinner, and Logan would walk in and say, Diana, remember what we talked about with the Peterson case? And she'd laugh, oh my God, yes, that was hilarious. And I'm standing there with the serving spoon thinking, what Peterson case? When did you two discuss work stuff? And what's so funny about it? Logan would wave me off. Oh, just boring legal stuff. Diana gets it because she's in marketing. Since when did my unemployed friend understand my husband's legal cases? Since when did they have inside jokes that I wasn't part of? We'd be watching a movie and Diana would make some nice comment about the lead actor. Logan would immediately go, I know, right? That's exactly what I said. Wait, when did you two have a conversation about Ryan Gosling? When did you develop shared opinions about actors? I'm sitting right there thinking, hello, wife in the room? Diana would tell these long stories about weird guys hitting on her at coffee shops. Logan would be laughing like it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard, asking follow-up questions, totally engaged. Meanwhile, when I told stories, he was usually checking his phone or asking if I could wrap it up because he had work to do. They were making me feel invisible in my own home. I'd walk into a room and they'd immediately stop talking. Not in a suspicious way, more like I was interrupting something private. Like I was the third wheel in my own marriage. I started feeling like, why am I here again in my own house? One evening, we were all sitting at dinner, and I was trying to be helpful. I told Diana, oh, you know our neighbor, Mrs. Andrews? She mentioned she's renting out her apartment, and it's only 2 blocks away. I heard it's really nice, and she's doing it pretty cheap. Diana kind of froze with her fork halfway to her mouth, and before she could even respond, Logan jumped in. Beth, Diana can stay here as long as she needs, Logan said. There's no rush to find anything. We've got plenty of space. I looked at him like, since when do you speak for our house guest? I was just trying to help her find options, I said. I appreciate it, Beth, but I'm really comfortable here, Diana said, giving Logan this little smile. If you guys don't mind having me around a bit longer. Of course we don't mind, Logan said immediately before I could even answer. That's when I started feeling really, really uncomfortable. Like, why was my husband so invested in keeping my friend here? The man who complained when my sister stayed for a long weekend was suddenly Mr. Hospitality. And why is Logan acting like Diana's lawyer all of a sudden? Then I started noticing this pattern that made my skin crawl. Every time Diana left the house, and I mean every time, Logan would suddenly remember something urgent he needed to do. Diana goes grocery shopping. Logan realizes he has to see his friend Joe. Diana goes for a jog. Logan remembers he needs to pick up dry cleaning. Diana goes to meet a potential employer. Logan's car suddenly needs gas. It was clockwork. Diana would leave, and within 20 or 30 minutes, Logan would have some excuse to leave too. They'd both come back within 15 minutes of each other, acting like they'd been in completely different places. My suspicions were growing stronger every day, but I kept telling myself I was being paranoid. I mean, this was my husband of 15 years and my best friend since college. They wouldn't do that to me, right? I was probably just being jealous and territorial about sharing my space. But then I started timing them. Diana left at 2:15 for groceries. Logan left at 2:30 for his forgotten file. Diana came back at 4:45 with milk and bread. Somehow it took her 2.5 hours to buy 2 items. Logan walked in at 5 o'clock, no case file in hand, claiming he decided to review it at the office instead. 2.5 hours at the grocery store for milk and bread. I wanted to prove to myself that I was wrong. That they were just becoming close friends and nothing weird was going on. That's why, when Logan said he needed to pick up that file from his office, I insisted on going with him. I wasn't trying to catch them. I was trying to prove to myself that I was being paranoid. This past Saturday, Diana had gone out around 2 p.m., said she was running errands. About 20 minutes later, Logan came downstairs looking rushed. I need to run to the office real quick, Logan said. Forgot to grab the Warrens case file yesterday. Can't it wait until Monday? I asked. No, I really need to review it over the weekend. The hearing's first thing Monday morning, Logan said. Something felt off. The man who never worked weekends was suddenly Mr. Dedicated? I'll come with you then. I haven't seen your new office setup, I said. The look on his face, pure panic. Like I just suggested we rob a bank together. Oh, you don't need to do that. It'll just be in and out, super boring, Logan said. Are you hiding something from me, Logan? I asked directly. No, of course not. Why would you ask that? Logan stammered. And he was already grabbing his keys like he couldn't get out fast enough. Then there's no problem with me coming along with my husband, is there? I said. What was he going to say? No? Of course he couldn't say no to that. So off we went. I insisted on going up to his office with him. I wasn't about to sit in the car and let him make phone calls or send texts or whatever. Poor Logan was sweating bullets, fumbling with his keys, knocking papers off his desk. He grabbed some random folder and said, "Got it, let's go." The whole thing took maybe 3 minutes. He didn't review anything, didn't even look at the file, just grabbed it and practically ran out of there. We were driving home, and Logan put his phone in the cup holder between our seats. You know, that little space between the driver and passenger seat? His phone started ringing from right there next to me. Logan was gripping the steering wheel so tight his knuckles were white. The phone kept ringing. He wasn't answering it. "Aren't you going to get that? What if it's important?" I asked. "It's probably just a spam call," Logan said, but his voice was all tight and strained. Then a text came through. The phone was literally right there in the cup holder, and I could see the screen light up. When I saw Diana's name pop up, my heart just sank. I knew. Somehow, I just knew. I reached over and grabbed his phone before he could stop me. The message was from Diana. "Babe, where are you? I'm checked in at room 237 at the downtown hotel." My blood went cold. Logan went, "Beth, give me the phone, please." But I was already calling Diana back, on speaker. "Oh, no, 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 please don't. Logan said, practically hyperventilating. One ring, immediate answer. Babe, where are you? Diana's voice filled the car, all breathy and excited, and I said, very calmly, Hello, Diana. The silence was deafening. You could literally hear Diana's sharp intake of breath through the phone. Beth? I can explain, Diana said, and her voice had gone from excited to terrified in 2 seconds. Room 237 at the downtown hotel? While I'm sitting here with my husband, who supposedly needed to get a case file? I said. Logan pulled over because his hands were shaking so badly he could barely control the car. It's not what you think, Diana said, which is what everyone says when it's exactly what you think. Really? Because I think my husband and my best friend have been having an affair. And you're currently in a hotel room waiting for him while I'm sitting right here. What part am I misunderstanding? I said. While Diana was stuttering more excuses on the phone, I started going through Logan's messages. Screenshots, photos, texts. I was forwarding everything to my own phone as fast as my fingers could move. Beth, what are you doing? Logan asked, trying to grab the phone while still being parked. Making sure I have all the facts, I said, tears starting to stream down my face as I saw message after message after message. I kept scrolling back through their conversation. The timestamps kept going further and further back. 2024, 2023, 2022. 3 years, I whispered, my voice breaking. This goes back 3 years. That's when it all hit me. All those late nights at the office. All those Saturday emergencies. All those times I felt bad for Logan working so hard, packing him lunches, telling him not to stress too much about work. He wasn't working. He was with Diana. All those times I defended him to my mom when she said he seemed distant. All those times I told Diana she'd find someone better than Chad. I was literally counseling my husband's mistress about her love life while she was sleeping with my husband. Why? I asked through my tears. Why wasn't I enough? What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong, Logan said, and now he was crying too. Beth, you have to believe me. You didn't do anything. Then why? Why would you do this to us? To me, I said. I was still on the phone with Diana, and I said, here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave that hotel room right now and drive straight home. Beth, please, if you just let me explain, Diana said. You have 20 minutes to get to my house, the house where I generously let you stay. Or I'm going to take every single thing you own and throw it in the dumpster. Do you understand me? I said. Logan was whispering, Beth, please, can we just talk about this calmly? I held up my hand to shut him up. Diana, do you understand me? 20 minutes. Yes, she whispered. I'll be there, Diana said. Good. And Diana, don't even think about running. Because if you're not sitting in my living room when I get home, I'm calling Chad, your parents, your boss, and posting this whole conversation on Facebook. Your choice, I said. I hung up and looked at Logan, who looked like he was about to throw up. The drive home was torture. For him anyway. I was strangely calm, still going through his phone. Logan kept trying to fill the silence. Beth, I know how this looks. It's not what you think. If you'll just let me explain. And I said, Logan, save it for when we get home. Because we're about to have a very interesting conversation with Diana. When we pulled into our driveway, I immediately got out of the car before Logan could ask for his phone back. I actually ran inside and straight upstairs, locking myself in the bedroom. I could hear Logan pounding on the door, but I ignored him. I needed to be somewhere safe while I went through his phone. Plus, I had work to do. I went through every single message, every photo, every piece of evidence on Logan's phone. And honey, there was a lot. 3 years of I miss you and when can I see you again messages. Photos that definitely weren't appropriate for a married man to have of his wife's best friend. Hotel confirmations he'd forwarded to himself so he could expense them as business meetings. I found their entire relationship timeline. It started at Logan's work party in June 2022. You know, the one where I got food poisoning from the shrimp and had to leave early. Well, while I was home throwing up, my husband and my best friend were getting to know each other biblically. I've had messages about how guilty they felt, how they tried to stop multiple times, how they couldn't help themselves, but apparently not guilty enough to actually stop, because the messages continued right up until earlier. There were messages from when Diana was supposedly dating other people. Messages from when she was crying to me about her relationship problems. Messages from literally 2 days ago while she was living in my house, planning their next hotel meetup. I screenshot everything. Every lie, every secret meeting, every I love you text. I forwarded it all to my phone, saved copies to my email, and created a special folder on my phone, labeled Evidence, just to be extra sure. I was building a case like the lawyer's wife I was. The worst part was reading messages about me. Logan complaining that I was getting suspicious and they needed to be more careful. Diana saying she felt bad lying to my face, but couldn't stop seeing him. Messages about how to make sure I didn't find out. There was even a message thread about Diana moving in with us. They had planned it. The whole thing. Diana's breakup with Chad, her needing a place to stay, Logan convincing me to let her stay as long as she likes. It was all orchestrated so they could be together more easily. I found messages from Logan to Diana saying things like, "She'll never suspect if you're right here under her nose." Diana responding with, "Are you sure this is a good idea? What if she figures it out?" And Logan reassuring her, "Beth trusts us completely. She'll never put it together." They had literally planned to use my kindness and trust against me. Logan had manipulated me into housing his affair. I was sitting there reading about how my husband and best friend had manipulated me into housing their affair, and I couldn't even cry anymore. I was beyond tears. I was in some weird state of calm rage. When I finally came downstairs, they were sitting on my couch together, not like they were waiting for me, like they were having their own little meeting, probably figuring out their strategy for how to handle me. "Beth," Diana stood up immediately when she saw me. "Please, let us explain." 3 years, I said, showing them my phone with all the screenshots I'd sent myself. I found messages going back to 2022. 3 years of this. The second I walked into that room, Logan jumped up from the couch like he was Diana's bodyguard or something. "Diana, don't say anything," Logan said quickly. "Let me handle this." "Handle this? Handle this?" I looked at my husband trying to protect his mistress from his wife, and something inside me just snapped. "Oh, now you're her lawyer? You want to handle this, Logan?" I said, standing up slowly. "By all means, handle away. Explain to me how you're going to handle 3 years of lying to my face." Diana was standing there looking like she wanted to disappear into the floor. "Beth, I'm so sorry." "Diana, stop," Logan interrupted her. "You don't need to apologize. This is between Beth and me." Between Beth and him? Like Diana was some innocent bystander in this whole thing? "Excuse me," I said. "This is between you and me? Logan, she's been sleeping with my husband and living in my house. This absolutely involves her." And that's when I realized. Not when I saw the text, not when I found out about the affair. Right there, watching my husband of 15 years jump up to protect my best friend, once again, from me. That's when I knew my marriage was over. I sat back down and just looked at both of them. Logan standing in front of Diana like she was the victim here. Diana hiding behind my husband in my own living room. "So," I said calmly, holding up Logan's phone, "I've had a very interesting afternoon reading through this. 3 years of messages. But the really fascinating part was finding out that Diana moving in here wasn't some emergency. It was planned. By you, Logan." Logan's face went white. "I found the messages where you told Diana to move in with us, where you said I'd never suspect anything if she was right under my nose. How you manipulated my kindness to make your affair more convenient." "Beth," Logan started, "so let me ask you both. How long have you been planning to make me look like an idiot in my own home?" They kept looking at each other like they were trying to figure out who should talk first. Logan finally spoke up. "We fell in love, Beth. I know that sounds awful, but it's the truth," Logan said. "Fell in love?" I stared at him. "You fell in love while married to me?" Diana was crying now. "We never meant for it to happen." "But I love you too, Beth," Logan said quickly. "I love both of you. I couldn't choose." I actually laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. "You couldn't choose? So you just decided to have both of us?" "It's not that simple," Logan said. "It is exactly that simple, Logan. You wanted to keep your wife and your girlfriend. And Diana, you were okay with that arrangement? I said. Diana couldn't even look at me. Let me ask you something, I continued. All those times I came to you for marriage advice, Diana. All those times I told you Logan seemed weird and asked what you thought was wrong. You knew exactly what was wrong, didn't you? Beth, Diana started. You sat there listening to me worry about my marriage while you were the reason my marriage was falling apart. You comforted me about problems you were causing. I felt terrible about it, Diana whispered. Sure, but not terrible enough to stop, I said. We tried to stop, Logan said desperately. Multiple times. When? When did you try to stop? Because those text messages go right up until earlier, I said. They had no answer for that. You know what's really pathetic? I said. I spent 3 years defending both of you. Defending Logan to my mom when she said he seemed distant. Defending you, Diana, when Chad said you were acting shady. I was literally protecting my own betrayers. You know what? I'm done, I said, heading toward the stairs. I'm packing a bag and leaving. Logan jumped up. No, please, Beth, don't leave. We can work this out. Work this out? How exactly do we work out you being in love with 2 women? I said. We'll figure it out. Just don't leave, please, Logan said. I turned around and looked at him. You already chose Logan. You chose her 3 years ago, because if you had chosen me, you wouldn't have cheated on me. He opened his mouth to argue, but I wasn't done. Every time you lied to my face, you chose her. Every time you snuck off to meet her, you chose her. Every time you let me comfort her while she was sleeping with my husband, you chose her. So don't stand there now and tell me you couldn't choose. You've been choosing her over me for 3 years. Diana was sobbing now. We never wanted to hurt you, but you did hurt me. For 3 years, every single day. The only choice I'm making now is to stop being an option in my own marriage, I said. Before I left, I looked at Diana one more time. She was still sitting on my couch, tears streaming down her face. I love you, Diana, I said quietly. You're my best friend. You were like a sister to me. How could you do this to me? She completely broke down. Beth, please. I trusted you with everything. My marriage problems, my insecurities, my fears about Logan being distant. And you knew exactly why he was distant, because you were the reason, I said. I'm so sorry, Diana said. You held my hand when my dad died. You helped me pick out anniversary gifts for the man you were sleeping with. You were my maid of honor when Logan and I renewed our vows. How do you look someone in the eye and do that? I said. Diana couldn't even speak through her sobs. I would have done anything for you. Anything. And you repaid that by taking the most important person in my life, I said. Logan tried to step forward. Beth. No. I held up my hand. I'm talking to my best friend. My former best friend. I looked at Diana one last time. 20 years of friendship. I hope he was worth losing me forever. I went upstairs, packed a bag, and drove to my parents' house. My mom took one look at me and just opened her arms. I didn't even have to explain. She knew something terrible had happened. 3 days later, I walked into my lawyer's office with every screenshot, every piece of evidence I'd gathered. She looked through everything and whistled low. This is the most documented case of adultery I've ever seen, she said. Your husband really kept everything, didn't he? I want him served at work, I told her. Simmons and Associates. Make sure everyone in that office knows exactly why Logan Smith's marriage is ending. She raised an eyebrow. That's professional suicide for him. You sure about that? Good. He should have thought about that before he decided to cheat on his wife with her best friend for 3 years, I said. Here's the beautiful irony of this whole thing. Logan worked at Simmons and Associates, and they're a family law firm. These people make their living helping couples through divorces, custody battles, all that messy family stuff. Their whole marketing campaign was about trust, integrity, and protecting families. They had billboards all over town with Logan's face on them, talking about protecting marriage and family values. And here he was, screwing my best friend in hotel rooms during lunch breaks. So when I called Tom Simmons, Logan's boss and the managing partner, I didn't have to do much explaining. I just said, Tom, I thought you should know that Logan's been having an affair with my best friend for 3 years. I have extensive documentation if you need it. I figured you'd want to know before clients start asking questions. You should have heard the silence on that phone call. It went on for so long, I thought the call had dropped. Tom finally said, "Beth, I'm so sorry. We'll handle this internally." Handle it internally. That's law firm speak for Logan's about to have a very bad day at the office. Because here's the thing. How do you trust a divorce attorney who can't keep his own marriage vows? What client wants to pay $400 an hour for marriage counseling from a guy who's been cheating on his wife for 3 years? How do you represent someone in a divorce case when you're going through your own scandalous divorce? Within a week, Logan's name was quietly removed from the Henderson and Associates website. His partnership track? Suddenly on indefinite hold. Those billboards with his face talking about family values replaced with generic firm ads that just showed the building. Logan went from being the rising star at a prestigious family law firm to being the cautionary tale about why lawyers shouldn't sleep with their wives' best friends for 3 years. The divorce is actually pretty straightforward once my lawyer presented all the evidence. Logan tried to fight it at first, hired some expensive attorney, and tried to claim the adultery was just a temporary lapse in judgment. But his own lawyer looked at 3 years of documented evidence and basically told him he didn't have a leg to stand on. Adultery is adultery, and I had text messages, hotel receipts, photos, and a timeline that went back years. Plus, Logan's reputation in the legal community was pretty much shot. Word travels fast in our social circle, and nobody was particularly sympathetic to the guy who cheated on his wife with her best friend. I got the house, half his retirement account, and a very generous alimony settlement. Turns out, being the wronged party in a divorce has its financial advantages, especially when you have a husband stupid enough to document his entire affair on his phone. I didn't just disappear after leaving. I wanted to see how this played out. I posted about the divorce on my Facebook because I wanted to get the truth out there, so friends and family would stop asking me what happened. My profile is private, just close friends and family, including Diana and Logan. So I figured it was better to explain once rather than have the same painful conversation over and over again. Okay, fine. I'll admit it. I also wanted Diana and Logan to see those posts. I wanted them to know that I wasn't hiding in shame or keeping their secrets. I was done protecting them from the consequences of their choices. Poor Chad. I really thought he was an asshole kicking Diana out. I called him after everything came out and told him the whole story. Turns out, he'd suspected Diana was cheating for months but didn't know with who. The night she called me crying, she and Chad had just had a massive fight where he confronted her about being unfaithful. That's why he kicked her out. Not for no reason like she told me. When Chad saw my Facebook posts about the divorce, he realized Diana's mystery man was Logan. He's dating someone new now and much happier. But the really beautiful part was watching Logan and Diana try to make their great love work in the real world. They moved in together after I filed for divorce. For 2 months, they played house and posted cute couple photos. But here's the thing about relationships built on lies. They don't have solid foundations. Without the thrill of sneaking around, they realized they didn't actually like each other much. Logan started working even longer hours, partly to rebuild his damaged career, partly to avoid going home. Diana got a retail job and complained he never had time for her. 3 months in, Diana cheated on Logan with some guy from a coffee shop. Logan called me crying, asking if I thought Diana had commitment issues. I laughed so hard I almost choked. Gee, Logan, what gave you that impression? That was 6 months ago. Logan's still at the firm, but his partnership dreams are over. He's doing grunt work now, and most women won't date a known cheater. Diana had to move back with her parents at 34. Her reputation is garbage, and most of our friends distanced themselves from her. And me? I'm fantastic. Got a cute house with my divorce settlement, I'm taking pottery classes, and dating a wonderful guy named David, who believes in honesty. You know what's funny? I'm happier now than I was in the last few years of my marriage. Life is peaceful when you're not constantly wondering why everyone's acting weird. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well. Logan and Diana thought they were so smart, but they actually freed me from a marriage built on lies. I am living very, very well. Now, enough about my trauma. How have you been? Please tell me your life is less complicated than mine was. And here, have some more coffee. You've earned it after listening to all that mess.
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Don't forget to follow for more content just like this. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.